Oh my God, we are getting close to #1 on our top 100 list of all time in video games. We are talking about a game that came out in 2005, and I'm about to put a smile on your face. It's Resident Evil 4 from Capcom for the GameCube, the original iteration of this. I remember Tommy and I reviewing this game at Toy Fair, but this was a game that just completely shocked the hell out of both of us. It was also the Resident Evil team's first real change in the way that they looked at controls and the way that they brought us into their game world. And what a profound difference it was. It was really easy to play this game.
You know, I had played the original Resident Evil and 2 and 3, the one with Nemesis. I wasn't the hugest fan, even though I'm a huge horror fan and I do like survival horror games. This is the Resident Evil that will forever reign supreme in the Resident Evil universe for me. This was an experience. And you're right, it did take some getting used to these controls, especially after all the years of the tanks and moving sideways and spinning in circles.
It was a different game.
You felt like you could actually get around as Leon Kennedy in this game. You could roll, you could jump through windows. You were a little bit more athletic than you had been in the previous games, and you had a fighting chance, and you needed a fighting chance against the enemies. These are some of the most badass enemies I have ever seen.
And it was far enough in the action direction. And I think the biggest complaint that we can sort of levy at subsequent Resident Evil games is that they've tried to ape a lot of the action-oriented controls of other games, and that really removes a lot of the fear and a lot of the terror. This was the perfect blend.
Being a hero isn't what it's cracked up to be anymore.
This was the last time for me that Resident Evil was really scary, because the guy comes out with the burlap on his head and a chainsaw, and I'm like, what the hell is this guy? And then he gets close to you because you make a mistake and you let him get too close to you, and then what happens next is your own damn fault.
Head off.
But you know what? Over the course of the game, it's that nauseous kind of sick feeling. And you wouldn't forget those moments after you powered down the game for the night. And I'd go to bed and my eyes would still be twitching, and I'd still be thinking about these weird Castilian castles that I was traveling through, these catapults that I was setting off, and these weird enemies I was fighting and somehow beating.
Now, the whole series is wonderful. There's been lots of really great content in this thing, but it's Resident Evil 4 that stands at the top of our mountain. Here's a look back at Resident Evil. All right, we are back, and we're going to be talking now about Resident Evil 4 from Capcom for the GameCube. Obviously, one of the biggest games of 2005 already. What did you think of Resident Evil 4?
This game finally, after years and years of having Resident Evil have the same old controls and the same old, camera angles, they finally listened to us and have now changed the camera angles and controls, and guess what? It's a great game. About freaking time.
You're absolutely right. It is an incredible game, and what they've done this time is they've really streamlined the experience, and it's not anywhere near as cumbersome as the previous few Resident Evil games has been.
But I think what it does better than any of the other Resident Evil games, this game is legitimately very scary.
I had to force myself to stop playing and take a breath and back away from the machine a bit because it was just freaking me out. And then all the rendered cutscenes and everything throughout the game are fantastic. Lots of sass, lots of really good writing.
Small world, eh? Well, I see that the president's equipped his daughter with ballistics, too.
How rude!
And in terms of the combat and some of the violence that you're getting into too, you're not just shooting at bad guys. You do get some great guns though, like the sniper gun. It's very cool, effective, very nice.
It's
the
all
machine
about the
guns,
shotgun.
Shotgun.
The shotgun in Resident Evil has always been the great thing.
You don't run out of bullets as much as you used to in the previous Resident Evil games, but you do still. And you also have to pick up the bullets, and it asks you to do that.
You want to use the bullets. But the biggest thing for me was the fact that you can't move and attack. You have to stop and then do your aim and shoot, or if you're doing your knife, you have to stop. I think it would have got,
It is a lot faster,
I think that's the next thing they got to work on.
It is a lot faster. It's not
faster,
Splinter Cell.
but you still can't move and shoot.
It's
and I got
not
a problem
Splinter
with
Cell.
that.
It's not a first-person shooter game. It's supposed to give you that sense of dread. It's supposed to give you that sense like, oh my God, I got to turn around. I got to deal with all these guys coming at me.
But I like you're trapped in a house, and if they know you're in the house, they'll try to throw those Molotov cocktails in there.
They're getting in, man. They're not going to stop. The AI is very smart, very intelligent. The bad guys that you beat up on are very crafty and resilient. resilient, and they'll mutate because they've all been sort of, they've got this virus going on inside of them. There's a lot of depth to this thing, but the action never stops. It's an absolutely remarkable achievement. I think it's the best GameCube game so far. I'm giving it 10 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 9.5.
I don't know, looking back at all those Resident Evil games, they've had more ups and downs than Cher's career.
That's true.
Yeah,
right?
there have been some good ones and there have been some bad ones, but 4 reigns
No disputing.
supreme.
Yep, number 11.